With the constant threat of tariffs and an escalating trade war, Canadians are asking themselves, who is the best person to take on Donald Trump? Well, if a federal election were held today, most Quebecers would support the Liberals under the party's new leader, Mark Carney. And across the country, the Liberals and the Conservatives are now tied. That's according to a new Léger poll. Joining us now is Sebastien Dallaire, Executive Vice President of the Eastern Canada team at Léger. Thank you for your time today, and let's get right into it. Starting with the big picture, looking at support for the Liberals and the Conservatives across the country, it's up for the Liberals, down for the Conservatives, and now they're tied at 37%. Can you just break this down for us in terms of how significant of a shift this is?
Well, if we look just a few months back, not even a few months back, almost a few weeks back, like the Liberals were down by sometimes more than 20 points on the Conservatives nationally. In Quebec, they were basically tied with the Conservative Party, but far behind the Bloc Québécois. And all of a sudden, nationally, they're tied. And in Quebec, they are far ahead of even the Bloc Québécois. So it's a massive shift, and it's a massive shift that is clearly created by the situation south of the border, the threats from Donald Trump, not just the tariffs, but the question of becoming the 51st state. So all these things are clearly weighing heavily on voters. And the incumbent government being in place trying to defend Canada, it clearly helped the Liberal brand in general. But especially Mark Carney, his presence seems to have made a big difference since he's arrived on the scene. And now that he's the new leader, he's clearly pulling the Liberals up as well.
And you referred to this earlier about Quebec, and you know it's not a tie here. The Liberals are 13 points ahead of Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
And so it's a significant lead for sure.
So the Liberal Party appears to be more competitive now, but also at the same time, they've been in power for nearly a decade, and the poll also suggests Canadians are in the mood for a change. So that creates a very interesting dynamic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at this at first glance, and it speaks to the unusual situation we're in right now, where voters are saying we want change, but they seem to be lurking, especially in Quebec, at the Liberals and saying, well, maybe we want to go back there again. But Mark Carney has an advantage. He wasn't part of the previous government, even though he was linked to the government. He wasn't a cabinet member. He wasn't elected. So he can present himself as a change candidate. Of course, as the campaign goes on, when it starts, that will become a challenge, trying to keep portraying yourself as a candidate for change when the party behind you is the same. So that might not be as easy once the novelty wears off.
All right, Sebastien Dallaire of Léger, thank you again for your time today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.